So Kara and I just did that video, things that we do that other people say not to do. Today's video is a little bit different. It's things that I do that, and I have been doing for a long time, that most people kind of know is good for them, but they just don't want to do it for whatever reason. They're too busy, they're too lazy, they have too many excuses for whatever it is. Most people think I am different, I'm better off, I'm luckier, I have better genetics. Nothing could be further from the truth. I was born with a weak immune system. I almost died several times. Those of you who know my story, I mean, it was bad. The first 30 years of my life, even my girlfriends can attest to this from that time. I was nothing but a constantly sick, weak, it was bad. And it took me 30 years to figure out how to get out of that, how to be healthy and happy and free and all that stuff. And I was no different than anyone else. Matter of fact, I wanted to be so badly the perfect little boy doing all the right things, and I was sick and I was unhealthy and something was missing. So I learned the hard way how to do things from trial and error. And these are the things that made me different and made me to where I am today. But I just want you to know right off the bat, I'm no different than any of you. I'm no luckier. I wasn't born into money. I wasn't born into health. I wasn't born into any of this stuff. And as the years go on, that's when your investments start to pay off. So I'm going to tell you what those are. And maybe you'll change your mind on some of these things. So as you already know, I've never touched a drop of alcohol ever in my life. I've never drank coffee or smoked anything ever in my life. How many people can say that? No coffee. No alcohol, but no coffee? Oh my God. I don't eat bread. I stopped eating bread 20 years ago. Nothing with wheat. I don't eat anything baked in an oven. I don't eat animals. So that's a big chunk right there. That's a huge chunk. Okay? No bread, nothing with wheat, nothing baked in an oven. That's a serious commitment. I mean, once in a while, I might go and have something in a restaurant, but that is rare. That's like once in a month or something. You know, that's not my regular life. I eat a mainly raw vegan diet, which means no cooking, no using an oven or stove. In other words, I don't heat anything over 118 degrees. I still warm my food. People think raw food is cold. It says, well, I can't do that in the wintertime. Who said raw food is cold? Some of it is, but you don't have to eat it cold. 118, 120 degrees Fahrenheit, 45 degrees Celsius, that is still considered raw food. Now, how is that? Well, in the summer when it's really hot, and let's picture an apple tree. Apple falls from the tree, lands on the ground, the sun's hitting it, it's 120 degrees, it shrivels up. If you were to take that apple and plant it in the ground, it would still grow into an apple tree. There's still life in there. Lots of life. If you were to take that apple and bake it in an oven at 350 degrees and then plant it in the ground, nothing would come out of it. It's dead. Life force stays in the food below a certain temperature. Now that's raw food. You stay below that temperature and you're fine. You can still heat your food. You can still warm your food, but not above that temperature. So you don't cook your food to death. All right, that's a big one. I don't snack all day. In fact, I don't eat for anything until 4 o'clock in the afternoon. Most people are constantly snacking. They're constantly putting little bits and things. The minute you put anything, one cracker in your mouth, one little bite of a food bar, you stop everything in your body, your fasting stops, you release insulin, and you've broken the whole chain. You are now no longer fasting. So I don't eat until 4 o'clock in the afternoon. So which means I only eat for 4 hours. So that means I do not eat for 20 hours. Zero. Nothing but water. Maybe some tea, but it's usually just water. 99% of the time, all I have for 20 hours is water. That's it. And I stop eating 3 hours before bed. How many people do that? These are things that I do that most people know are good for them, but they don't do it. You know, they go, oh, I do intermittent fasting. Oh, really? When do you eat? Well, I eat from noon until 8 o'clock, 8 hours a day. Okay, that's a good start. That's where they say to start. That's a starting point. Now start eating at 2 o'clock and eat till 6 or 8. And then, you know, I start eating around 3:30, 4, and then I stop eating around 7 or 8. So that's what you work towards if you really want to have a clean, healthy life. That's what I do. You don't have to do any of this. I'm just telling you what I do. All right, so I stop eating 3 hours before bed. That's huge. How many people can stop eating 3 hours before bed? Most people do snacking right up to bedtime. It's like an addiction. They can't stop stuffing food in their face. Well, what does food do? It gives you energy. When you put energy into your body, food, which turns into energy, you've got like 3, 4 hours, 5 hours of energy that your body has to work. Okay, that's why you're restless at night. That's why your legs are kicking. That's why you have these weird dreams. The energy's got to go somewhere. And then you wake up tired and you wonder why you didn't get a good night's sleep. Well, stop eating late at night. Of course, also watch what you eat, but stop eating 3 to 4 hours before bed. That's huge. Because if you don't get proper sleep and rest, you are going to age. And if your body is, first of all, 70% of your body's energy goes to digesting food. And if you eat food before you go to bed, your body is working the night shift. It is working. It's not sleeping. It's not resting. It's working. You made it work because you shoved food in your face before you went to bed. You're going to wake up tired. You're going to look older. That is not the way to have a long, healthy, happy life where you are free of disease and you feel good and energy. Anyway, so that's another thing I do that most people don't. I go to sleep by 10 o'clock at the latest. I try for 9 o'clock, but 10 o'clock is a little more realistic. So that's another thing I do that most people don't. I do strength training, which means muscles. It means getting some weights and doing muscles, like this. You're working out all your muscles. And this is especially important for women because as you get older, if you don't use it, you lose it. Your bones start turning to rubber, and the only way to have strong bones is weight-bearing exercise. It's not just taking calcium pills. As a matter of fact, that backfires a lot. And I made a whole video about that. But the point is, you need strength training. You need muscle training, and everybody needs it. But if you don't use everything in your body's going to go, I guess we don't need that. It's out of here. And then life just gets worse. So I do strength training, but the important point here is I do it in a fasted state, which means that I do not eat before I go to the gym or I do any kind of heavy, strenuous thing. Like I said, I stop eating at 7 o'clock at night, and I go to the gym at 2 in the afternoon. And at 2 in the afternoon, all I had all day was water. And I have found from personal experience, you might think, oh, but I'm tired. I can't do that. That's probably because you're carb adapted, not fat adapted. When you're carb adapted, your body is used to running on sugar for fuel. Fat is something that is a lot longer lasting. It's smoother. And when you don't eat for like 20 hours, your body's running off of fat. And when you get used to that, and that's what your body's trained to do, it is amazing. I found that when I work out in a fasted state, I have more energy, I'm pushing more weight, I'm clearer minded, I'm in a better mood, I am just so clear and better at everything. So it's something you got to work up to. It's not happens overnight. A lot of people say, well, if I stop eating, I'm going to get headaches, I get low energy. That's because you're crashing. That's because you're used to sugar. Now, I know there are different kinds of sugar, there's fruit sugar and everything, but the point is, there's 2 types of fuel. There's fat and there's sugar. And those are the 2 different things that your body can work off of. Sugar is an instant fuel. You eat sugar of any kind, carbs of any kind, you get fast energy, but then you burn out and then you're like bottoming out for after a while. If you run off of fat, you're running all day long, steady, no highs, no lows, no hypoglycemia, no insulin spikes, no telomeres being fried. If you have unused food in you and your body wants to store it for later use, there's a reason your body creates fat and not a lot of glycogen. You only have enough glycogen in your muscles and liver to last for maybe half a day tops. But you have months worth of fuel in the form of fat in your body. They did a test on this one guy scientifically. He was like 300 pounds, he was super obese. They watched him medically to make sure he wouldn't die, but this guy lived for an entire year off of nothing but his own fat. And it is the most efficient fuel supply that your body, that's why your body creates it. It was designed for that reason. You don't have 200 pounds of sugar in you, you have 200 pounds of fat. It is actually the best, most efficient fuel supply your body can store and turn into energy. So think about that. You only have this much glycogen stored in your body and this much fat. And that's all by design. It's that way for a reason. And I don't want to lecture too much about that. But anyway, I've gotten way off on a tangent here. So I do strength training in a fasted state, and I lift more than ever before being in a fasted state. I do HIIT every day. I'm on a high intensity interval training. And what that means is I go outside, I run like crazy for 20 seconds until I'm huffing and puffing, and then I walk a little bit. And then I run like crazy and I'm huffing, What do kids and animals do? Watch kids and animals. They go outside to play in the yard. They chase each other like crazy for 20 seconds and they're like, and then they just chill a little bit. And then they chase each other like crazy for 20 minutes, like dogs do this too. Dogs and kids, they chase, and then they rest a little bit. And then they run a little bit, and then they let rest. That's HIIT. It's just a natural thing that kids and animals do. And look how full of life they are. Adults do the opposite. They think that's a kid thing. But now they're finding scientifically that's the best thing you could do for staying young. Look, kids are young. That's what they do. Adults, in order to be young again, to stay young, do what the kids do. That's what, the kids and animals do not jog for 30 miles steadily. They don't ride a bike for 30 miles. They don't do marathons. They run like crazy for a little bit and then they rest. And then they rest. They're finding a lot better for your health and for your results to have these short bursts of intense energy and then you rest, another short burst and then you rest instead of just steadily, lazily, just jogging or riding a bike or whatever. Anyway, so HIIT. And then after I do the HIIT, I take a cold shower, but only a cold shower, not a warm shower. If I ever do a warm shower, I always end it on cold. And I also do ice baths. I fill up a tub with ice cubes and I sit in it for 15 minutes. Now, this is something where a lot of people go, oh, that's definitely not for me. I'll do the food, but I'm definitely not going to do that. Well, that's what separates the normal people from the ones who get further in life. Because the ones who get further in life are willing to do the uncomfortable things to get to those places that most people don't go. So if you want to be average, you want to be like everyone else who just sits there and complains about their problems, then just be like a normal person. But if you want to be somebody that's above that, more successful and healthier and happier, then you got to do things that are uncomfortable to you. And the most successful people in the world will all tell you that they're willing to do those uncomfortable things. So what are you? Are you just going to sit there and complain, or are you going to do those few things that, now think about it, those uncomfortable things only take a few minutes, and then you have the payoff for the rest of the day. Most people do the comfortable things, the comfort food, the warm showers, and everything. So that lasts a few minutes, the comfort food and all that lasts a few minutes. And then they spend the rest of the day living in discomfort because of their choice that they made. Whereas the true investors, they do something uncomfortable that only lasts a short while, and then they have the long-term payoff. So that's the difference between most normal average people who spend their life complaining because everything is a conspiracy. And then there's the people who are willing to just make a new world and live it differently. So anyway, I do the uncomfortable things. I'm willing to. And it's not, and you get used to it after a while. It's not even that bad. You actually look forward to it. I don't watch or read the news. That's huge. I don't care. I don't get caught up in all this weird stuff that people say is happening in the world. I laugh at that. It's like, that's going to come and go. That's just a period of history that at some point it's going to be looked back at as, remember back when blah, 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 whatever it was. History is full of these moments where, everybody's freaking out and does stuff. I'm just going to sit back, watch the decades go by, and remember back when everybody thought Y2K was going to shut down all the computers in the world. And, anyway, I just don't get caught up in that. I don't watch the news. There's no cell phones, no TV in the bedroom. I do not end my day with social media. As I'm slowly closing my eyes, I'm checking no, that's not me. I do not allow any technology in the bedroom. I'm a recluse. I don't hang out with people. People are, I feel so much better when there's no, the people out there, it's just me. And when Kara and I are alone on a tropical island, on a beach with nobody, no social media, we feel so much better than when we're caught up in the whole rat race of the world. I'm not into instant gratification. I make long-term investments. This is what I was saying earlier. Everything that you do, all your choices in life, your food, the people you hang out with, the thoughts you choose to have, those are investments, and they will come back to you based on what you put into them. That's what makes me different from perceptually from other people. I'm no different than you guys. I just chose to make different choices in life. And a lot of those were a little bit uncomfortable at first, but it became second nature. And now I'm getting all the payoffs from it. As opposed to some people, a lot of people, or most people who choose to make quick instant gratifications, just something to feel good in the moment, but then they end up paying long term with the downside of all that. Ultimately, you are the result of the choices you made in life. So if you're still alive, it's not too late to change those choices. And that's all I'm saying is you can be different than others by the choices you make. And that's really the only difference with me is I chose to make different choices. And I had less of a head start. A lot of people have they're born into health and money and relationships and stuff. I wasn't. I had to earn my way to get there. And I'm sharing that with you as time goes. So I hope that, the stuff that I give you helps some people. It's not going to help. Most people aren't going to do this stuff because, again, they just want the instant gratification. They want the quick fix. They want or they just don't believe it because everybody around them is telling them it's bogus. It doesn't work. Well, some of you get it. Some of you are doing it. This is the truth. And I'm sharing with you what works for me, things that I do that most people don't. So I hope you got something out of it. That's what this channel is about, is to help you. I hope I helped you. And I hope I continue helping you. And that's it. So I'll see you next week. Until then, have a good week.